Good evening. This regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission is now in session, and it's Thursday, July 6, 2023. It's 6 p.m., and we're conducting the meeting in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers, and we're going to open with a prayer by Commissioner Millender, and then I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so you all please stand.
Let us pray. Most glory and gracious Heavenly Father, again we thank you for the many blessings and gifts that you have given us. A special thank you for the Independence Day weekend that you just gave us, and you blessed us with no serious incidents or accidents, and people had a good time to celebrate their independence in our country. Again tonight we're here. We have some important business on the agenda to work through. We ask for your guidance and wisdom in our proceedings as we go forward. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'm glad to see you all. Welcome. Thank you for silencing your phones. And if you, I mentioned earlier before we convened, if you want to speak under public comment or you'd like to speak under any agenda item during the discussion, please complete a speaker card and just give that to Ms. Keisha. You must come to the podium to speak, and just, let me know when you're ready to speak, or Ms. Keisha will call out the speaker cards if you're not on the agenda. So we'll move on. The first thing, order of business is our consent agenda, which is the June 1st, 2023 City Commission regular meeting minutes and the June 20th, 2023 City Commission special meeting minutes, and the attorney's invoices for May, I believe it was. So did everyone have an opportunity to review those minutes? Yes. And do we have any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Keisha, that motion to approve the consent agenda is by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that one carries. Next up is public comment, and this is for the attendees to speak on any item that's not on the agenda. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on an item that is not on the agenda tonight? Okay. Please come forward, Ms. Lynn, and say your name for the record, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Is this on? Or I just turn it on?
There
Is it
you
on
go.
now? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Lynn Wilder, and I live in Apalachicola, Florida. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, I guess, or to let you know I've started an effort to become a Keep America Beautiful affiliate in Franklin County. So essentially making a Keep Franklin County Beautiful, having a program. And I've been working with the National Keep America Beautiful. I think you guys are probably familiar with them, right? Remember the old Native American with a tear running down? They're still around. And also the state, so Keep Florida Beautiful and Keep Wakulla County Beautiful folks. So they're all very interested in Franklin County becoming an affiliate. So why I'm here is just to let you know that, give you some information. I'll leave it with you, I guess, hit my email and things like that if someone's interested in helping out. What the first step is to get representatives from business organizations, city and county government, people from all areas of Franklin County, and existing groups that are similar to, do cleanups and things like that. So if anybody's interested, I'd ask you to contact me. We almost have enough people to start working on the affiliation, and then they'll lead us through the process, and we'll have a community-specific plan. It's about recycling, it's about litter control, prevention, and beautification, so any of those things. They help us get funding. They have a wealth of knowledge about how to do this in the county, the state, and the nation. So I think it's a great idea. In the meantime, we started a recycling program in Apalachicola for aluminum cans. If anybody's interested in trying to do that here in Carrabelle, I'd be happy to help. Right now, we just have started at the farmers market, so we're a 2-hour drop-off, and people come and drop off their cans, and we take them to Tallahassee and get them recycled. I've talked to the county about this, and they're all for it. We're not stepping on their toes. So hopefully that'll maybe start interest in recycling and spark a little bit. I'm trying to get with the St. George Island Civic Association, East Point, and hopefully Alligator Point at some point. So that is it. I'm here happy to answer questions. I'm leaving you a little bit about Keep Florida Beautiful, but they're very excited about it. They don't have anybody between Wakulla and Pensacola, I think, that's part of this. So.
Ms. Wilder, do you have any information or simple flyers that you could leave here that we could put at our front desk there at the collections desk in the front?
I don't,
in
but
the
I
lobby?
can bring some. I can bring some over.
Or you could mail a small packet if you
Sure.
didn't want to
Yeah,
drive
that would be
over. In some way, you know, that folks that are interested might be able
Yes.
to contact you.
Okay.
Okay. 'Cause
My
we do-
email, if you guys, anybody wants it, is the number 3, this is very professional, the number 3, DOG, as in dog, P as in Paul, A, C as in Charlie, @gmail.com. I'm thinking of getting more official, but I don't know. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. It was nice to see you. Did you all have comments or anything for Ms. Wilder? She left right quick.
She did.
That's okay.
Minutes to-
I know.
buzzer in.
But if the commissioners have something to say, it's all good.
I would like to contact you after, not tonight, discussion about some of the recycling, some of the things that have happened in the past with
Sure.
recycling and the aluminum. And I'll contact you personally just to
Okay.
share some info with you.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's good. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? All right, then, we'll move to our commissioners' reports, and Commissioner Walden, do you have anything? Okay, and Commissioner Brown?
Just a short one.
All right.
I hope everyone had a wonderful Independence Day. The parade, the hay rides, and the fireworks seem to be a big hit. It's getting better every year. I'm hoping that we can expand the footprint and grow our celebration next year as other areas of the county have done. Tomorrow night is First Friday at downtown. Most businesses will be open late with refreshments and music and art. Last month was a lot of fun and a big success, so I hope to see you guys out tomorrow night too. That's all.
Okay, very good, and thank you for organizing the golf cart parade. I did talk with one of the officers that was helping the traffic, and we talked about maybe expanding the, coming down Avenue B and going back around the boat parking lot and then back down 3rd Street, making it a little bigger, something like that.
Bigger's always better.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Commissioner Millender, do you have anything?
I just want to follow up on the golf cart
Okay.
parade. I also had some positive comments about it, and I had several people approach me the night of the fireworks and discussing potential ways to improve upon it. And there's lots of ideas out there, people that are really interested. And golf carts are getting more and more popular. I think it was a good event.
Thank
Good
you.
job, thank you. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Gray?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. And I too think the entire event with the wagon rides, with the chamber that they did there in Sands Park, everything put together, and the vendors that were brought in, it was all a good event, because I've always thought the city our taxpayers pay a lot of money for that show and the fireworks display. And, we need to make something out of it. We need to start trying to grow ourselves a little festival. So we got a foothold, and we'll just keep it up, keep up the good work. And thank you, Ms. Keisha, for organizing the fireworks.
They were
We
great.
appreciate it.
Good job, Keisha.
Okay. And then back on June the 13th, the second amendment of our DEP, and I like to let the commissioners know what's going on with finances, and some of this stuff always gets shared with me. The second amendment of our DEP State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement for the expansion of the Lighthouse Estate's water distribution system was signed by the administrator, and the loan is in the amount of $257,950. But don't worry, the DEP gave us a 50% forgiveness, and so of $128,975, and all of us were in that workshop at the time. So with the capitalized interest of $504.78, the total loan amount is $129,479.78. Payments will be made semi-annually in the amount of $7,209.02, with the last payment scheduled for February 15, 2031. And these payments will be funded with our water base rate revenues from the 192 new accounts at Lighthouse Estates. And when we were working on this in the workshops, we thought it would be about 160, 165. So we have right now 192 new water and sewer accounts. Then at the June 14th TDC meeting, Chairman Jones, who chairs the TDC meeting as well, TDC board, reported that the state statute governing TDCs allows for TDC revenues to fund infrastructure at sports parks. And it was noted that upgrades and new facilities at Franklin County sports parks would be used by both residents and visitors. And when we discussed that, I immediately suggested the addition of a disc golf course and a splash pad would be popular with the residents and tourists. Chairman Jones explained that the D.W. Wilson Park in Apalachicola is 15 acres. The Vrooman ball fields in East Point are only about 4.5 acres. But the Kendrick Sports Park complex right here is 89 acres. So we held discussion about having a possible disc golf course at the Kendrick Park, and it was very positive, but discussion regarding a splash pad was not so positive. The TDC board members then made a recommendation to the county commission to use TDC funds for upgrades and new facilities at the Franklin County sports complexes. And if sports park infrastructure funding is indeed an allowable expenditure of TDC revenues, I will stay on top of the addition of a disc golf course at our Kendrick Sports Complex right here just outside the city limits, where there's plenty of acreage for this really popular game. And thanks to Commissioner Brown, she brought it up to us when she first came on board that she would like to have a disc golf course, but our parks that we have really aren't big enough to have a good one.
I really appreciate you bringing this up because I was just talking to people about it over the 4th of July weekend. But Patton Park, I've had people look at it that are into the sport, and they agree that that would be perfect because it's so natural and it doesn't need to be cleared out as much. But if that, I mean, that's
Well,
something to keep in mind, and then we're
Either
not
one.
utilizing it.
Yeah.
And
Either
that would be
one.
a big help to get it back in shape.
I know it needs some work, Patton Park does, but if we could get TDC revenues to fund
Exactly.
one right here, and they've got 89 acres, there's a lot of natural area there as well. So we'll see what we can do, but, or maybe eventually a disc golf, but it has to be it has to be recognized as a sports complex for TDC funds
We can
too.
possibly do that.
Yeah.
It's over
Possibly,
50 acres,
yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
got bodies of water. I mean, it's a good spot.
All right. In early June, some property owners at the subdivision Carrabelle Landing requested myself and the city engineer to meet with them regarding some stormwater drainage issues in their subdivision. So on June 23rd, Courtney, Dustin, and Russell and I met on site with the property owners and Russell make sure I say, I explain what we did, right? And we all walked the affected properties. It was about 4 or 5 lots. And then Dustin and Russell hiked the outbound drainage ditch. It was the outbound drainage ditch, right? And there were some culverts there as well. Y'all went out to McKissick Lake and then over to Airport Road. And we looked at online aerial maps of the location, and it was determined by Mr. Large that the drainage issues remained on private property, and that it was no fault of the city. Is that correct? So we were on site looking at some drainage issues, and Mr. Large was there, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention because he doesn't usually come out like that. But they've had contacted us 2 years ago when we had a lot of rain, and for some reason they thought city was shedding water. So yeah, so that was a good visit. And then I talked to you all last month about doing some improvements to straighten up the corner at Northwest 4th Street and Northwest Avenue G. And those improvements have pretty much been done. I reached out to County Commissioner Ward, and she got the County Roads Department to come out and cut and assist with grading and squaring up that corner, and they brought in some more road base, and then the city funded tree removal there, and then Dustin has come out with a little bit more road base, and he's leveled it out, the uneven areas. So I haven't talked to the residents since it was completed, but I haven't heard any complaints, and I will follow up with them. But it's a regular corner now than the old curve that we had before. So folks have to get used to making a corner. And then on June 27th, I received a report from a local citizen that there's a daily sign removal and cutting of the lines that mark off the Wilson plover nesting area at McKissick Beach, and that loose dogs are crossing into the nesting area. And the citizen reported that chicks have hatched out there, and that this is an important active shorebird area. And this citizen requests the users of McKissick Beach to please keep their dogs controlled on a leash to help the volunteers protect the shorebird nesting areas. And that's all I have, and I will go to the attorney's report.
I have none.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, and then next would be, does anyone have questions or comments for the city attorney? Okay,
Who said no?
the city attorney.
That's the reason why I said that.
I know it.
No.
No, okay.
No, you have
We'll
questions.
take that under consideration.
Yeah.
Okay.
On second thought.
Do you have something? Okay. All right, then we'll go to the city administrator's report. Ms. Courtney?
All right, everybody got their department reports?
Yes.
Now, they came out a little late with the holiday, but they were all sent out. Our Marine Street boat ramp informational signage has been posted. It looks good. The old water plant building, it has a new roof, and we're still trying to get quotes for the windows and the doors. So we'll keep working on that, and if you guys know any contractors that would be interested, I'm looking for some estimates. Our fireworks were much better this year. However, it was supposed to be a 15-minute show, and it was a 13-minute show, but I did talk to the firework company, and he had a couple of modules that did not shoot off, so he'll be crediting us back the money for that.
Nice.
So he estimates about $1,500. So I think it would have been probably longer than the 15 minutes with the extra fireworks. And then you guys all received a letter that we got for the proposed downtown historic district. In that letter, I hope you all got a chance to read it, but there's a certain date that you have to respond by if you would like to respond. You don't have to, but y'all need to advise us whether we need to respond or not.
The city or
The city, as a property owner, the city gets a response.
And now that's for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. Is that correct, Ms. Tamara? And not a historic district per se. Is that correct, Ms. Tamara? Just a boundary to list on the national parks listing of the National Register of Historic Places. Okay.
It is a district. It is
Uh-huh.
a historic district.
And which district is that now? You all, Mr. Warber came and you all presented something that had a small downtown commercial district. So,
That's what that's about.
okay,
It's about the downtown commercial historic district.
okay,
But the city owns property, they own, well, the museum building and the water plant. And since you put the roof back on the water plant, it was not being counted, but now it is being counted.
it can be counted.
And the post office and the fire department.
Yeah, the fire department, so you've got like 4 buildings in there, so you get
One vote.
one vote. And then, and all the property owners, there's a list of the various people that own various properties, and they all get to vote. Or not vote, if they approve, they don't have to vote. It's only if you disapprove.
And I don't know if it's a vote. I think the main way Mr. Waber wrote to me was that you have to send a certified letter saying that you don't want your property to be included with it, or you don't approve.
Go wrong.
Yeah, there's no vote to it.
And isn't there a deadline on receiving that response? Do you know when that deadline is?
I didn't get one, so I.
Well, your ne-
It's August 3rd.
yeah, your next meeting you have scheduled is in August.
So it has
That's
to
when
be
the
back-
letter has to be?
back.
That's the deadline.
Yeah.
And our next meeting is August 3rd, so that we would be too late to vote on it at the next meeting. We could, have a special meeting and discuss it if you want to.
We had quite a number of property owners came to the meeting that we held at the library. And the most important thing, people have confused, it's the national district is like an honorary space that only provides you with some considerations if you're spending federal funds. So if you've got federal funds going into it where you could get a tax credit, or if it's something about FEMA regulations, or if it's something about widening a federal highway. Those are the things that will be affected by that. It does not come with any requirements that things look a certain way, be painted a certain color. It does not do what a local historical district with an active committee could do and have done, like in Apalachicola, they have one of those. But it does not propose that. That is not something done by the National Register. It's simply it's like an honorary national recognition of our historic district.
Got a question, Ms. Tammer. If that occurs and it's recognized as you described, how would a association like Apalachicola form and become a group and dictate government within that district?
The government, the commission has to do that.
We would have to appoint a board.
It can't be formed with, it would be a decision that the city of Carrabelle made and decided to appoint a board to do that. That's how it was done in other towns.
It would be like us appointing the P and Z or any other board. We would have to designate people to tell us what they want done and change codes and ordinances and.
I would think I would like possibly to, to get that question answered, to have the attorney research that, or Miss Courtney, and then report to us on that.
Well,
That-
and I'm not trying to throw a kink into things. There's questions that I have in my mind that are unanswered. And that's one question right there that I've heard both sides of.
Well, the
And I asked that same question to, what was his name? You said it was here from the
Wobber,
state?
Andrew,
Wobber. Yeah, and he said something a little bit different,
Well,
so.
at the meeting that we had on,
In July?
yes, but at the meeting we had just like Friday a week ago,
Yeah.
his boss gave the presentation.
Or I meant June, yeah.
And his boss is much more clear and experienced with that topic.
Yeah, and I missed that meeting, unfortunately.
And so I think Mr. Acosta was very clear about, that it does not, I mean, you could have the district proclaimed, and the next day you can tear your building down. You could have the district proclaimed, and the next day you could amend your building the way you wanted to, so it's not.
And so are you talking about being historic places, the National Register of Historic Places? So is there really a district that's being proclaimed?
Yes, there is.
Uh-huh.
It's called, it's because it's contiguous properties that were commercial and are still commercial. And they separated that from the resident. There's another whole possibility in the future of doing a historical residential district.
So it won't be proclaimed as a historic place, it's going to be proclaimed as a historic district?
Yes,
That's what I understood.
that's my understanding.
Yeah.
And I think the federal law and the state law are pretty straightforward about all those things. But what we have done in this county is get confused between what a local historical district is, like the one they formed in Appalachia, said people could only use certain paint and certain this and that. It's different. The national one doesn't tell you any of that. It goes on the historical use.
Okay, I believe Mr. Hartman has something to say.
Well, and we did receive the letter.
Yes.
And the letter, from a legal perspective, what again jumped out at me, but I haven't done the research, we just got this letter here today, but it talks about that the district provides three basic purposes for listing of a property on the National Register. So, God, I don't want to say it wrong here. It includes, so that is what we're talking about here. So it's then to provide official recognition of its historic significance and encourage considerations of its historic value in future development planning. Definitely that's what I took from the gentleman who came down. But then 2 and 3 are interesting. It says to provide the property limited protection from any federally funded, licensed, or assisted projects that might adversely affect the historic property. I don't know what that means, but at times we are certainly the beneficiary of a lot of federal funding.
Mm-hmm.
And if a resident, I mean, I don't want to speculate too far here, but if we declare a district and a resident in that district says, hey, that's going to adversely affect my property, is that going to disqualify us from getting the funding? I mean, we won't be able to do a stormwater project.
Right now,
or a
we're in the
water
middle
sewer
of
project.
a big grant project that we're getting ready, that's been let to bid. You're going to mobilize here shortly for Marine Street.
That's a big example.
But number 3 is in line with what we talked about too, that's like all positive to make the property eligible for federal financial incentives for historic preservation. So if someone, just like we do with Justice Building and things like this, it would probably help us on eligibility there. But it is confusing.
Okay.
I guess that's where I'm at right now. I'm not for or against at this point, but I know that I'm hearing pros and cons. And I kind of would be interested in the answers to some of the pros and cons before I take a position.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I understand that. I would too. I have questions as well. But Mr. Allen wants to speak, if you'll come forward.
Because I'm Steve Allen, and I'm part of Carrabelle Cares in the museum. Just to clarify on the second point, if, for instance, the state or the federal wanted to widen US 98 through the middle of town, what it means is that they would have to, the historic, the National Historic would have, they would have to contact them and make sure that it doesn't adversely affect the town. And if it did adversely affect, they would find ways to mitigate that to make it happen and be successful. It's not about an individual property owner being affected, but it actually gives the district or the designated or recognized area the benefit of some protection from what generally would be an action by the state or feds to make progress move through the city.
And what you just described is one of my concerns, Steve, and where I'm hearing that it could add another layer of government on top of what's already there when it's officially deemed a historic district for the property owner, whether it be Highway 98 or a private property or whatever. When they go to do things, they may have to go through three layers of government to move forward with what they'd like to do versus one layer of city government.
So if an individual.
And I don't know what all that means, what I just said. I don't know
Well,
what
and
all
I
that
think y'all
means
can do
right
the
now.
research. If an individual property owner wants to blow their building down, there's no limitation. It's really not about the individual property owner. It's about projects that would come in like a widening of 98 that we wouldn't have any voice in. And what would happen is if that came through a historic district, a designated area that is recognized as a collection of historic resources, that that they would request support in doing that. Look at that as a group, but it's really not. It wouldn't be any citizen or any property owner deciding what they want to do with their property. It's sort of it gives us protection against someone coming in and putting a 4-lane highway through the middle of town because it's a historic district, as an example.
I really don't think we're ready to labor this right now, but I do have one other comment to make
Okay.
on that right there. And I really don't want to share this comment because it relates to something that's kind of touchy with folks. Is an example is the Family Dollar store. It's been said during all this process, if that was already noted and officially a historic district, that Family Dollar store may not be going there. Am I right?
But they're
Am
talking
I-
about a local district,
Okay.
not the federal district.
Yeah. But the feds would have a chance to look at that.
Not unless, no, that's a private property issue, not unless,
Okay.
not unless
All
the
right.
city passed ordinances.
And that's
All right,
like I said,
okay,
we don't
all right.
need to go any further. so.
Commissioner Brown has a comment, and then I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
of how we'll work this out.
I really would encourage you all to read the email that Courtney sent. It has all this spelled out. It specifically says the federal and state governments will not attach restrictive covenants to a property or seek to acquire it because of its listing on the National Register. It does not change anything to do with private property at all. It just lists it on the National Register. It's just as simple as that. And there are some benefits. But if you read over it, I mean, it's very detailed. I've researched the heck out of this. I've gone to several of the historic meetings, and it's very different from what Appalach has. It's not like we're going to get a HOA and have all these rules. You can paint your house however you want, tear it down. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, so, but I get the feel that we're not ready to make a decision on the one lonely vote that the city gets. So let's, if you all don't mind, direct Mr. Hartman to research this, maybe reach out to Mr. Acosta, is that his name, the head man with the Division of Historic Resources. And you can, Mr. Hartman, I know you have a lot on your plate, but report back to us at our CRA meeting or directly before our CRA meeting. This core district that's being proposed to be on the National Register is in the CRA. So we could have you report to us to that. Now, if the commission wanted to vote, we'd have to have a separate little commission meeting for that. So maybe we'll have a separate meeting right before the CRA meeting.
Okay, I do have a potential travel. I may not be the one to cover the 18th
Okay.
CRA meeting, but I can do my darndest next week to get this kind of a report done.
All
So
right.
you might be seeing Mr., which you haven't seen him for a long time, Mr. Pasqualone.
Okay, and he can report to us?
He will.
Okay, all right.
A lot of our
Oh,
questions are in the email that we got.
Yes.
A lot.
And if even if Mr. Acosta wants to give us a conference call or something during that.
And just to be clear, any specific questions you want answered?
I don't
Just
know
wanna kind of
offhand.
I mean, what I would do is try to boil it down to the pros and cons. But does anybody have a specific?
I need an opportunity to read the letter.
Yep, do this, please. Is everybody read what Courtney sent out? Send me any observations, questions, and I'll address those, but I'll try to do a short summary too, because I need to, it's more confusing than it should be.
Okay, all right. And thank you, Ms. Tamara, for your input, and Mr. Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was under Courtney's report. All righty then. Okay, so we'll move on to Ms. Keisha.
I'm going to announce some dates. We have, looks like July 18th will be our regular CRA meeting. July 20th at 1:30, I'm sorry, and then July 20th at 2, we will have a planning and zoning meeting. And our next city commission meeting is August 3rd at 6 p.m.
Okay, is there anything
all I
else?
have.
All right, okay. Do we have questions or comments for our city clerk? All right, then we'll move on to Mr. Large with Inovia, our city engineer.
All right, thank you. For the lighthouse project, the contractor's moving through each resident by resident and connecting the electrical supply up to the individual units and abandoning the septic tanks, and they're working through that process. We do receive some phone calls from citizens with questions and concerns, and so we do our best to address those. And also address questions that come from the funding agencies. So that project's moving forward. On the Marine Street CDBG project, the notice of award and the notice to proceed is pending review by DEO. As soon as we get that approval, we'll be able to issue the notice to proceed for the contractor there. On the summer camp, water and sewer, we met with Bridget Precise with the St. Joe Company on July 5th. She had some comments on the draft agreements we prepared. City attorney took notes, as did we, and we'll be making some changes to those agreements. And our next meeting with them, with St. Joe, is scheduled for the 29th of August. We are working on the Carrabelle Cemetery. I expect that we'll have a layout to present to Courtney the first part of next week. On Ryan Drive, we have an easement that is needed, and that's from an out-of-town property owner. They're in Spring Hill, Florida. We've sent them a letter requesting that easement. If we do not hear back with them, we spoke with Mr. Oxendine, the property owner. There is an alternative to extend the pipe across his property to 12th Street. He's willing to allow for an easement to do that. So in case we can't get that easement, we'll extend that across his property. On the golf cart crossing permit, that permit as of June 27th had not been issued, and we did reach out to Alfonso Gammons. He's at the DOT Midway office. Asked for a status update. Haven't heard back on that yet, but I would expect that to be issued at this point. So we'll continue to follow up there. Lastly, we had a meeting with DEP for the new water supply well, and we'll be scheduling a second meeting with the Water Management District to begin pursuit of that permit. Okay, that's our report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, all right, thank you, and I want to thank you for reaching out to the Water Management District regarding well 5, or test site, testing for test wells.
Right.
For well 5, thank you.
Okay.
That's something that we've needed for years.
Yes.
To get done. So, I have one thing that I would like to suggest here to the commissioners, if it's okay with Mr. Hartman, that you're going to present the cemetery layout shortly, within 10
Yes.
days or so. I would like to request the commissioners, and of course I will too, to take a look at that layout, that presentation. Go ahead and take a look at it and provide input to Courtney and what you think, so that she can relay that back to Mr. Russell, because we do need to get the cemetery going. I mean, it needs to be on the fast track.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't want anything, though, done behind the scenes or anything, but this is, how we generally work with staff. And we do need the cemetery. We see that it's being cleared. Courtney went ahead and had the clearing start. So, will the person who's clearing, will he haul away that debris, or how will that work?
Yes, he gave us a price to
Haul away all the debris as well? Okay, all right. And, do y'all have anything for Russell?
It's really just a Courtney question.
Okay.
Courtney, is he going to root rake that as well?
Yes, and
Okay.
take out all the stuff.
Okay, yeah.
You said, you asked what now? Say it again.
If the contractor that's doing the above-ground clearing would do the root raking.
Okay,
take the roots
all right,
out
very
of the ground.
good, thank you. Okay.
And will you just let us know when you get the layout so we can check it out?
As soon as I get
And-
it, I will send it to everyone.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
good with that, and I've been saying for a while, we need to move forward with the cemetery quickly. Yeah.
We have how many plots? A handful
many.
or less?
Not
Not
many.
many.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Large?
Nope.
All right, thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I do have one other thing, and Courtney brought it to my attention when she and I were talking about the cemetery in the last few days. Courtney, did you want to mention the possibility of a privacy fence at that private property? Or you want to wait on that?
Well, we need to get some prices, but we're gonna need to put a privacy fence around
Yeah.
between the cemetery property and the private property owners, the
because of
residential
its
properties that are
proximity to
there.
that house and all in there? Yeah.
Can we wait till it gets cleared, so?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and
I'm
then,
not,
yeah.
I'm not suggesting that she move forward and put up a privacy fence,
No,
but we
no,
need
but-
to know about it and where she can, move forward with her
Or
work. Yeah.
wait till it's cleared, though, to
Yeah.
get some quotes on it.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Well, that's fine with me.
Because we can, I mean, a fence, it may be needed, but that can go up after even the design, we need some places to put people, so. All right, anything else? All right, then we'll move to our advisory board reports, and we have, Ms. Tamara said she was going to, her report basically would be addressed under the agenda item under old business. That would be the Carrabelle Waterfront Partnership, and then we received a written report from the Aviation Advisory Board, the Carrabelle Aviation Advisory Board. Do we have any comments? Mr. Sullivan is here, the chair of that board.
Good. I read it.
Okay, all right. We've got two projects there on hold right now because of the pending bid challenge, and then they've attended some disaster preparedness. Actually, they had a PowerPoint that they presented, that the FDOT provided, that they presented at their last meeting for disaster preparedness for small general aviation airports. All right. And then it says here that $5 million, the DOT has allocated $5 million for runway rehab in 2027. All right. Then I see Steve is here, and I see a picture of the pirate ship. Did you have a report that you want? Okay. the Crooked River Lighthouse Association.
Yes. My name is Stephen Allen. I'm currently serving a life sentence as president of Carrabelle Lighthouse Association.
Speak a little louder.
Okay, I'm currently serving a life sentence as the president of the Carrabelle Lighthouse
Okay.
Association. So if you'll just flip through the slides, can you set it on just auto? Basically, it's really final touches on the boat itself. And you'll see this is some of the brass connection pieces that are part of the railing. Fine tuning, we had to put the cap on it, and couple of stair rails to be put in place, but then that part will be done. This picture is of note, the area behind the boat. The slides that were coming in have to land behind the boat, and so the next big portion of the project will be the extending of that dock in behind the boat and the layering of that so that the slides that come out the back of the boat. And then there is a picture of the captain's quarters looking through, there we go. That is sort of the open area in the back of the boat where these slides and different things will be going in. So we'll have options as to different things that come in and get built to start off with. And I have the sound system, and the part dug up in front of the wall right now is to run the cable for the speaker system and everything that's going in. So everything's going along. It's hot, it's rainy, it's been hard to work over the last month or two, but we're getting very close to finishing up the boat portion. And any questions?
It looks awesome.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you for being here, and we appreciate your work on that, organizing it and actually putting some sweat and tears in it yourself, I know. Blood, sweat, and tears. Okay. Any comments for Steve? Okay, then our next item is public hearing, of which we have none this evening, and following that, we have a quasi-judicial hearing. So I will convene this quasi-judicial hearing, and we have item 1 under that, and that is discussion and possible action concerning a special exception to allow a residential use, which is currently zoned with a C1 mixed-use commercial. It's located at 207 West 10th Street in Carrabelle, and this is requested by Vicki McGuire. And that's Miss Vicki McGuire, I see. If you want, did you want to come forward and speak to us?
Not a whole lot to speak about.
Okay. All right. Do we need her? Well, let's see if we need you to come forward. Okay. Let us see. Miss Keisha, how did the
It's right
okay.
behind Martin's House of Coins. It's that
Uh-huh.
house.
Miss Courtney, would you go ahead and show where it is so that the public will know where it is?
And while she's doing that, P&Z recommended for approval. All the letters were sent out in accordance to the ordinance.
So,
But they did recommend approval.
And was there any response to the letters that were
No.
sent out? Okay. And so,
It's basically 3 lots, and the house is only on 1 lot.
okay, just come forward just a minute, yeah. Just procedure.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just say your name so we know for the recording.
Sure, Vicki McGuire.
Okay. All right, Courtney, tell us where this is now?
This is right behind Martin's House of Coins, right across from Salt Choppy Pizza.
10th Street.
And then Highway 98 is down in the south there. There you go. And the moorings across the way. Okay. So what I say to all of them that come for a residential use in the commercial district is that you're going to hear all kinds of sounds and noises and sirens, and you're going to have smells, especially across the street from Sop Choppy Pizza. I mean, you know, there's no telling what you might hear, you know, from the marinas from time to time, the highway, parades, music, the clock tower, maybe even. I don't know if you can hear the clock tower from there, but you know, so I just want you to, know what you're going to be hearing. Okay.
I get it.
All right.
Look, I'm a travel nurse. I'm never home.
Oh, all right.
I never know where I'm going to live and listen.
Okay, very
You
good.
know, my husband works international. He's never home.
Okay.
That's why nobody knows us, and we've been here for 4 years. But nobody
Wow.
knows us.
Okay. Vicki McGuire.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Do y'all have questions or comments for Miss Vicki?
It actually includes the other lot too.
Uh-huh.
Like the house, that lot, it includes that also, which is commercial. And we hope to do a business.
But that's not part of the special exception, just the house.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm confusing y'all. Never mind about that.
Okay.
But just a side note, we do plan on hopefully retiring soon and doing
All
some kind
right.
of business
Very good.
in the city. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so do we have any further questions to Keisha or the attorney or Courtney regarding this item?
You need a motion, don't you?
We would need a motion to either approve or
I
disapprove.
make a motion to approve this.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. Ms. Keisha, that motion to approve this special exception at 207 West 10th Street is made by Commissioner Walden, second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. All right, thank you very much. We're moving forward now to the new business and item number
You wanna
1.
Adjourn.
Thank you. Excuse me. I adjourn the quasi judicial hearing. And now we'll move forward to the new business. Item 1, discussion and possible action regarding hiring a Water Tech 1 employee. And we have Mr. Charlie Painter here this evening, who is the superintendent of our entire water and sewer department, which is a separate enterprise from the city of Carrabelle. It has its own separate budget and its own separate business. And we thank you for being here. And do you have a recommendation for us?
Thomas, he had a CDL driver's license and heavy equipment operations.
Mm-hmm.
What's his last name?
Thomas Lee Evans.
Okay. And Ms. Courtney, did you have anything to add to that? Did
I
you
did not do any interviews.
Okay.
Mr. Charlie did all the interviews, so
Uh-huh.
I do not.
And do our commissioners have any questions regarding
I'm
this?
fine with his recommendation. I
Okay.
know the gentleman kind of, I know his wife, so they actually my neighbors, so
Oh, all right.
I'd go along with his recommendation.
Okay, all right. Do you want to motion for
I'll make
that?
a motion, we approve this hire for the Water Tech 1.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a a motion
Not
by,
yet.
yeah, that too, says Commissioner Brown. A motion by Commissioner Walden and a second by Commissioner Brown to approve Mr. Painter's recommendation to hire Mr. Thomas Lee Evans as Water Tech 1 for the water side of your department. All right, is there any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, and that motion carries. And thank you very much
Thank you, Charlie.
for serving, and we appreciate. And I thank you for your report that you gave, and Charlie's a good bit of the lift stations and a water tower, a couple were hit with lightning pretty bad a couple of weeks ago when we had the lightning, and he recorded 6 inches of rain one day and 3 inches one night and 3 inches the next or something. So he's working with an electrician, is that right? You want to tell us just a tad bit? Okay.
Yeah.
To get that worked out.
Ordering parts, getting people back here, and you know, it's hard this time of the year. You know, these last few years have been really hard to get parts and labor.
Mm-hmm. But I think you and Miranda are trying to put together some information to see maybe if the insurance would cover some of that.
I do. Miranda did the printouts on the insurance waiver forms, and I'm filling them out, and then we would Courtney sit down and decide whether it was enough to put in for the insurance or if it all fits in place.
Okay. And then the way I understood it when you explained it, that you have staff right now that's checking on these locations because you can't rely on electronic alarm system.
Right. So we just have to step up and go to each location that doesn't have SCADA readings right now and physically look at them.
All right. Do y'all have questions or comments? Okay. All right, we thank you, sir.
All right,
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Item 2, discussion and possible action concerning amending the 2 COP beer and wine license at 203 6th Street West, the Morning Bite Restaurant. And this is requested by Ryan Brisbane, and there's two parts to this request. They want to amend the 2 COP beer and wine to change to an 8 COP to include liquor service. And then also request to add outdoor seating to place 5 picnic tables in the gravel area near the woods to the north. And this would add 40 new seats to get the required 120 that's required by the 8 COP liquor license. Is that correct, Mr.? Would you like to come forward then and just state your name for the record in the microphone? Okay.
Ryan Brisbane.
Okay.
And sorry I wore shorts. You had a different podium last time I was here.
You were going to hide behind it?
Oh, yeah, I thought I could. But, yeah, do you have any questions for me? Or?
Well, I'll ask the commissioners if they have questions regarding, I'm taking it you're wanting to open for dinner now.
Well, yeah, that would be the gist of this.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
Trying
right.
to do some like craft beverages, like smoked old fashions and martinis, along with dinner. So.
Mm-hmm. And what are your hours of operation? What do you plan for that?
Probably like a 4:30 to 9, 10-ish, something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you a little heads up. We have a noise ordinance that overlays the commercial district as
Oh, okay.
well. Yeah,
All
if
right.
there was going to ever like outdoor music or anything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't see us having a band or anything like that. It's
Boo.
more for more to go. Actually, the license itself, the way it's spelled out, is I have to sell 51% food and 49% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll never turn into, I mean, unless you got a quota license, it'll never turn into a late night bar.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So.
All right. Do we have other questions here from the Commissioner Brown?
Do we need to give him permission to put in outdoor seating?
Courtney said we
'Cause it's
didn't
his
have
private
to, but
property,
he.
right?
If he wasn't asking for it to go along with the license, we wouldn't have to give permission. He could do that on his own. But because it's part of the permit, then we have to
okay.
approve it.
Okay.
The state of Florida would like to see that
Gotcha.
part included in the sign-off type
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
So if we wanted to approve it, hypothetically, then I would say you could have one motion that would motion for the amendment to the license and to allow the outdoor seating to add 40 new seats. Is that correct, Mr. Hartman? If we decide
Yes.
we want to approve it, if someone wants to make a motion for it.
I have a question.
Okay.
Ryan, have you, on the north part of your property
Yes, sir.
that's vacant there,
Yeah.
do you plan to utilize any of that for parking?
That is definitely the goal. I would like to event, I don't know if we could go forward for like more of a water view, but eventually I'd like to put a patio for a dog-friendly environment, smokers, things like that. Or we go backwards, but that would be a very small structure. And then I do want to extend the parking and actually make a parking lot because it's a little bit of an issue, so.
Well, the reason why I asked that, and Keisha and Mr. Hartman, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we were authorizing a building of such, then that building that would be required so many parking spaces per so many square feet.
Absolutely.
In essence, what you're doing there in that square footage, you're providing parking for people, not for square footage.
Gotcha.
And you're gonna be putting 5 tables out there to add 40 more people.
Yes.
And your business, from what I can see, all observations I see, is doing very well, and I'm proud of it.
Thank you.
Parking's an
Thank
issue.
you. Yes.
Parking's an issue. And I do know that a lot of mornings, most mornings, people are parked up and down the right of way of the street, which is fine.
Yeah,
But there's still a need
Okay.
for parking, and if you're gonna add 40 more people
for sure.
to that seating, I have a question about parking.
If I'm being really honest with you guys, not the state of Florida, I don't want to see people outside. It's basically a small purchase from Lowe's to, bypass a loophole. They are going to go back. They aren't going to be in the parking lot right now. There's a kind of a dog kennel trailer. They're going to go back in that area. Those are going to be moved. So the parking that we have right now is going to stay the same. And we don't have the help. I really can't see actually seating people outside. It's just something for them when the ATF comes out, they want to see the seats. And it could be more like an employee, break area, things like that.
And Ryan, I very much respect that.
Yeah,
However, I got to say, from where I'm sitting here,
yeah.
is you may do that today, but you may sell that tomorrow, and the next person may not do that.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
So anyway,
Would the,
I support businesses strongly in Carrabelle. But all over our city, we have a parking issue, and I'm not trying to get into that.
Yeah,
Other than the fact is we've got to look at, I feel like that we need to look at parking with our growth.
yeah,
If we don't have any. And again, my analogy there is it doesn't matter whether we inside or outside, if we adding 40 more people, we adding more
Yeah.
need for parking.
absolutely.
That's just my comment. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. And then I have a question, just a follow-up question to, I guess it would be either Keisha or Mr. Hartman. If a business sells that has a liquor license, do the new owners have to apply for
They do.
do they have to go through the
Of
process?
this type, of
Un-
this type.
Unless
Okay.
they buy his business and it stays
And
more
then they
than
can
buy.
assign it, but then they still have to go through the
Right, and then it
assignment
can
process.
transfer.
Transfer.
Okay,
But they
That's a
get
good
their
question,
own,
actually.
everybody gets their own license.
okay. All right. And I know I want to see your business thrive. I mean, we want all of our businesses to
Absolutely.
thrive here in the city and provide jobs like you have been. And
Thank you.
so, do we want to entertain this request by Mr. Brisbane?
I would like to make a motion to approve both of his requests.
Okay. And we have that motion by Commissioner Brown to approve amending the 2 COP license to an 8 COP and to approve the 5 picnic tables for 40 additional seats by Commissioner Brown. Do we have a second?
I'd like to second.
Okay. All right. And do we have, that second is by Commissioner Gray. Do we have any further discussion?
I have one question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Back to the parking.
Yeah,
You own that whole block, right?
yes, sir.
So there is room to expand your parking area.
Yes, and that's next
'Cause
on
I
our.
live on that street. I
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I live down the road from you there.
All right.
So-
That is definitely our next
If
step
that's,
also.
parking is what Mr. Milner was worried about.
Yeah.
You could expand your parking,
Absolutely,
because you own
yes.
that whole city block, the
Yes,
half
sir.
of it.
Well, yeah,
Half.
the Jacksons on the other half.
Not the
Yeah.
Jackson side, but your side.
Yes, sir.
Well, Commissioner, that was my question when I asked the gentleman,
Well,
did he plan any additional parking?
well, yeah, that's just what I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, we do own the woods behind it too.
And
I'm
I
sorry.
emphasize that, and I ask if you planned any additional parking.
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah.
100%. And it might not be a paved lot, but it's definitely gonna be gravel, some trees taken down. I wanna still leave the wooded feel of it, but be able to put cars in there. Yes, I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent there. about
Okay. All right, then, is there any further discussion? Are those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries, and I'm in favor as well.
All right.
All right,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you
Mhm,
very much.
thank you.
And we'll make it look good back there.
Okay,
Get some work.
congratulations and best of luck, and don't work yourself to death,
I'm gonna try
literally.
not to.
Okay. I know. All right, and then are we ready to move forward, or do we need to take a break, a recess? Everybody's fine? Okay. Then we have item 3, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 480. which is consumption of alcohol on premises, and this is requested by Commissioner Gray. And so I guess Commissioner Gray would know that I'm going to toss it over to him. Okay.
Okay.
Assume.
Yes, I did assume. What I'm proposing is that we change the way we measure the distance from a church to an establishment that would like to sell alcohol. I'm proposing that we change the ordinance from the way we currently measure from property line to property line, the way a crow flies, to measure from door to door by the way which you would walk. That's what I'm proposing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does everybody feel about it?
So did everyone hear what Commissioner Gray is proposing?
So we're talking about our selling alcohol within so many feet of the church, that's what you're talking about?
We're staying within the 500 feet, just like it is now, but we're going to measure it a new way. It's called the way you walk, which would walk.
Yeah, okay. Just want to understand what your request was.
And do you have can you demonstrate that for us? Did you bring maybe an example or something?
There is, the city ordinance, probably back in 04, 02 timeframe, had language like this, and it is very common statewide. So it can be as you would walk property to property line. Sometimes it's as you would walk door to door on public rights of way. So you can't trespass. You got to walk, out and around, and however on sidewalks or road rights of way to get.
I'll use the
Bruce?
White Kitchen as an example.
Oh, the White Kitchen, okay.
Just as an example. You've got the First Baptist Church up here, but they own all the property all the way out to Highway 98, all the way down here. So right now it's measured from their property line, so we can measure it here, from their property line to his property line. So it's 293 feet. If you change the way it was measured and you measured it as you would walk it, you would come out here, come here, and I mean, if you're doing door to door, or you're not property line to property line, then now you've got 20 feet, 345 feet, 281. So now he's within. You're not changing the distance. He's within that, outside of that 500 foot.
So you talk about the White Kitchen from his door to the Church of the Baptist.
See, right now it's the property line to the property line.
And I understand I see where you.
And so a lot of these churches have a lot of property. Even the Assembly of God, they own a whole half a block behind their church. So you're not measuring it from the church necessarily, you're measuring it from the property.
And as a crow flies, which is over buildings, and it extends all the way to.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And this has come up before.
Actually, I made a little list because it goes back to 1935.
I've got a pile of papers I've read through on all of
And
them.
actually, I looked at the ordinance from 1935, and the marshal back then, his name was Will Gray. How about that? And the mayor was R.G. Bradford, and the marshal, they had a marshal back then, Will Gray. So, but then in 1961, 1966, 1978, 2002, 2006, 2010, and then 2012, and 2020, we talked about it as well. So I have all those ordinances if you need a package.
I have a
can
package.
forward. Okay. So,
I just want to say, I don't see much difference in serving beer at Hook Tally's Old Bar, which is his place, in Harry's. It ain't that much difference. So I don't see putting a burden on his business when it's only a few feet from that bar to where he's going to open his business. So I kind of, I was against it before. But now that he explained it how he wants to do it door to door, that makes a lot more sense. Because if you own 10 acres of land, and you could be a long way from that, So
yeah.
I understand.
How is Harry's allowed to?
They're grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yeah.
They probably when it was 250 feet. I'm not sure that was before me, but It's been there.
1937, they was already there. so.
Yeah.
So basically, if we change the order, it'd be door to door instead of property to property.
That's correct.
Uh-huh. And is it the entrance? Are you talking about an entrance?
That would be, like Dan
Or
said.
the back
door to
door
door,
or
the
what
main
door?
entry of.
Okay,
Main.
where
I was
the,
gonna
So it
say-
wouldn't be the back door of.
where
what
the
gets into
patrons
the-
enter.
We would,
Yes.
I think we
The
had
main
this come
entrance.
up with Mr. Skip Frank one time when, from the Methodist church to his business, which I don't think it's less than 500
That's too
foot.
close.
Yeah, that's a little too close. But his place is pretty good ways from it, yeah. I want some public comment before we vote on this thing, so.
Yeah, I would like public comment as well. and-
I would,
But, and just as another, here's the Assembly of God Church. So any of these
Okay.
businesses or properties here along 98 are within that 500 feet. So not just Mr. Russell's, you know, you're looking at all the other places in the city as well.
And just to be kind of also clear on process, right? As far as what you'd be considering and kind of because we've been through this
Oh, yes.
many times, right? And I personally have been through it. I've ridden this train a number of times too. Is I actually, we've gone through very complicated workshops and processes. I kind of appreciate Commissioner Gray's just very simple change that would solve some of the issues, some of the questions, some of the concerns we have from the business community. But at this meeting, what you all, I would say, you could decide, right? You could decide to ask staff to prepare a draft ordinance making this change, right? Making a change of door to door. I'll come up with the legal language, but then we would advertise that. That would be on the agenda, and then everybody would have a chance because, have a chance. And it could, as we've had it done before, like some of these have resulted in changes, some of them have not because it's proposed. You get input from everybody, and you change your mind, or you see some other things, adjust things, whatever. But it would be literally, if you were in favor of this, it would just be direction to staff to prepare a draft that would get highly noticed and encourage people to come in, both from because it was the church community, the business community, so everybody, no one gets, it's done with full due process, basically, for everybody to have a chance to weigh in on it. And then the results of that meeting could go to first reading, second reading, that sort of thing. But we're a couple steps away from actually making a change.
Okay.
And I know I've sat through this grueling process, and we had the draft ordinance, the first hearing, and we ended up having workshops and a special meeting and another workshop, and then I think it did go to the second hearing, but
It was disapproved.
yeah,
Come up 450.
disapproved. Yeah. So, but it was measured. It stayed the same what it was. That they wanted to change it similar to this, but it ended up staying what it was. So if we do this, if I would like, well, I'll wait and see if a motion is made, and then I'll say this under discussion. If a motion is made.
And maybe public, as you had already, sorry, I interrupted you for public comment before anybody. makes
And there
a
is
motion.
public comment, so let's go ahead and hear that.
I've got Mr. Alan Russell. Want to speak?
Hello, everybody. Of course, you guys realize I own the White Kitchen, and that would be extremely helpful. I'd have to compete with Harry's, Fathoms, Morning Bite, and everybody else. It would be a huge disadvantage to me. Yeah, it's something you could overcome, but it would be very hard. A lot of people in town have asked me about it. I've even talked to the Baptist church, the ministry used to walk his dog. All these people there want it. They used to eat there when they were younger, and now they're 80. And he says, I can't see you. You're on a separate street. You could walk outside the church and never even know I was there. He said, Harry's right there. Other places are around me. I don't think it's going to be a problem as far as where we're located. We're not trying to open straight across the street, or you can't even really see me when you drive down 98. I think it would be definitely something we would like to look into. And I support it, and
hopefully we can at least discuss it.
Okay.
All
And I
right.
know you and I have discussed it many years ago.
Oh, yes.
Yes, at
That's-
the old City Hall in the back breakout conference room.
I think I bought it, and the next day they said, "When are you opening?" So I've been going through that for years. So it's a process. We are definitely working forward. Had a little hiccup with my metal on my roof about a month and a half, and it got delivered today. So I was busting tail.
Congratulations.
And you will see some improvement coming starting tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you.
speaking. Okay, the next one, Ms. Keisha.
Kimberly Wallace.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Wallace. I represent Harry's Bar and any of these business owners and possible future business owners to our area. I will advocate for this till the bitter end. I think that it is time that all of these buildings are thriving, giving our tourists more options, more availability for food choices. If they are unable to serve beer and wine the way the ordinance is now from the corner of property line to the closest point of property line, to me, it's absurd. Threshold to threshold, as you explained, as you would walk, makes more logical sense. I don't care where you are. So I will advocate for this, for Taste of Korea, for Mr. Allen, for Brian, for anyone else that may, the old ice machine, or the ice company, the old ice building, rather, right across from Harry's Bar. It's time we do something with that beautiful establishment, you know, so I will advocate for this.
All right.
all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Do we have I'll entertain public comment, if that's all right, that if
Yep.
no one has a speaker card, but they would like to speak on this issue at this time?
My name's Mary Johnson, I'm totally agree.
Please,
I'm sorry. My name's Mary Johnson.
Okay,
And
Mary.
I totally agree with Miss Wallace. I think it'd be a betterment for this community.
Uh-huh.
And it'd give the people coming in more choices, and it's just, it'll allow us to grow a little bit without growing, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And so I will advocate for it too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, commissioners?
I'm good.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to direct staff to prepare a draft ordinance.
Mhm. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Millender to prepare staff to, for staff to prepare a draft ordinance regarding, I'm just going to say Commissioner Gray's suggestion to go
Door to
door
door.
to door. Is that correct?
Walking
Door to door by which we walk.
by which
By
we
which we
walk.
walk is what he says, Mr. Hartman, door to door by which we walk.
Which I understand
Now we're in discussion. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Which I understand that the attorney has already picked up on it. It needs some addressing up in defining door to door. And what door is what door, and the way, and where you walk, how you walk, because you could walk in many different ways to get there. So,
Yeah, I will.
so there needs to be some dress up on it, so.
Yes, I will.
The main
I will
entrance.
Draft an ordinance.
I will make sure it's very, very clear.
Well, it just needs to be clear, that's it, and where it can't be manipulated.
Yeah, because lawyers will manipulate.
Yeah, they will, they're bad about that.
Yeah, I'll make it as clear as possible.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion or?
I didn't get that second.
Okay, that second is by Commissioner Millender. Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Millender. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion for now? Okay. Yes? No?
No.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Then we'll move forward. And this you'll have prepared for the August meeting, sir? Okay.
Thank you.
Make sure you get it to me so I can advertise.
We're not, it won't be for anywhere.
Oh, just, okay.
Just
Okay.
maybe, but we probably, as much as possible, get it out there.
So we're not gonna advertise the first reading? Or it's not
That's
gonna
not
be
the first reading.
It won't be first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, old business, item 1, discussion and possible action regarding request for funding assistance for the outdoor lift at the Justice Building, and we have Ms. Tamara here. And Courtney emailed us and presented earlier a budget. And who wants to tell us? You want to tell us about the?
I'll just
Okay.
tell you about the budget. The grant funds for $41,000. Ms. Tamara has been to the TDC and got approved for a $25,000 grant for the TDC infrastructure. The museum has raised $16,152, which brings her total to $82,152. We did open bids this past month, and it was $92,897 plus the cost of the architect. Their agreement has $4,395, so she is needing $15,140.
To make the total of the
Of the
total for
97.
the contractor and the architect is $97,292.
That is correct.
Correct, and she needs $15,140 to meet this this project requirement. Do you you understand that the TDC funding now, that is the your receipts, all of your checks and everything have to be submitted before the end of the fiscal year, or at the September the 30th.
Yeah, which is coming
Mhm.
soon.
Doing my very best to get that done.
Okay.
But whether we can get it, we just have to go forward,
Uh-huh.
one step at a time.
Mhm. How long, once they get mobilized, how long does it take to?
I don't have.
I don't have a clue,
Okay.
because we haven't been allowed to talk to the contractor. You know, we had, they talked to, they did the bid stuff. and
Who
then
were
we
they?
have to-
Sperry.
Oh,
Sperry,
Sperry.
and then- So we it took us 3 times to
Mhm.
get a contractor, and so, but I think, they've worked with us before, and they've been very efficient.
So we actually bid this 3 times before we got.
Once they actually mobilize, the lift should not take even a week to install. It's just getting them down here.
Ms. Courtney, has funding been identified?
I did look at our American Rescue Plan funding, and we're collecting interest on that money. So the interest that we've collected from September to May is $25,235. And that was money that was in addition to what we had budgeted, so that was not allocated to anything.
25,000?
$25,235 just on the interest.
And I wanted to say that people are still coming in to the museum and giving me money specifically. Like today, Mr. Tom Crum came in and gave me a donation for the elevator. So anything that I get earmarked for that will definitely go to the project.
So the History Museum is still accepting donations for this project?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that to make sure the public heard it. Will this lift now, this is going to be open to the public for people with canes or walkers or?
Sure.
Okay, anything like that?
Yes,
And I suppose if you needed to get something heavy upstairs,
it would be good for that as well.
yes, okay.
It's really a glorified cargo lift. It's
Mhm.
just when it's attached to a federally funded building with government, you have to have certain levels of credentials. We could just call it a cargo lift. It costs about half as much, but we can't do that, so.
All right.
I'm gonna make a motion to fund the request that Ms. Tamara has presented to us for the lift at the History Museum.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Walden, to fund this request for funding from the city in the amount of $15,140. Is that correct, or less, possibly?
less.
Is there any further discussion?
I hope everything goes as planned.
I do too.
So do I, and that's the reason why I know it's gonna be urgent to
Mhm.
get that in before the end of the budget year.
If not, if it doesn't, we can look forward and just try again. I mean, I think that your funding from the city and the TDC would be reapproved. It would just be reaching out to the state again for
Well, but
funding.
no, my state grant's good for another whole year.
State.
Okay.
So I'm good with the state grant.
All right.
And
Well,
usually-
it's just the TDC, so
Right.
we'll
So
see.
we'll
We'll see
see
how
how
that
that
works
goes.
out.
And usually if, with government in the past, and I think it works this way here, if you've got it committed, you can go beyond a little bit if it's committed.
Yeah. just-
All
Well,
right. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, and that motion carries, and there's no
Thank you very
further, you're welcome, you're welcome.
okay.
There's no further business, so we will adjourn this meeting. It was a good meeting. Thank you very much.